Hello everyone! Finally, it's time to have another episode of DigiFinex AMA. So we're excited to have David, the co-founder of Afro Token, with us today. He's going to share insights on the needs of cryptocurrency in Africa and how Afro further helps the development and growth in the African continent. Stay tuned and let's get to it. So before the live broadcast starts, let me introduce our guest first. David is a French entrepreneur that specializes in cryptography. Prior to his joining in Afro, he was the co-founder of the NEC Development, a leading French web integrator company with over 80 employees. So David has launched several internet startups successfully in dematerialized technology sectors. For example, an online contract cancellation company, and one of the free roaming mobile operators called MVNO. So besides, David is actually the author of several books, a consultant of the European Parliament, and as well as an expert in computer security SSI. So please stay tuned and let's hear it out. This AMA section is actually communicated in English. 2 rounds of airdrop sections will be launched in the beginning and at the end. So please download the app ASAP. Let's hear the first token for our airdrop, which is AFRO. So please join us to welcome David.
Hello, how are you, Kaina?
Hi, David. Welcome. It's really great to have you today. So let's get to our section. Can you briefly, first of all, introduce your background?
For sure. So I'm born in the 70s in Paris, and I graduated from the law school of Paris, Paris 11, actually. I'm a specialist of criminal aspects of computer crimes. And I did that for 10 years in the law office. And then as an entrepreneur, I launched a patent in France about electronic signature. And it was the first mass application for the public for electronic signatures in the years 2000. It was used by the post office, and also each time you need to send a registered letter with a legal content, then there was a proof of an evidence of the content of the sender, addressee, and the date that you send the content. Then after, I decided to create with economists, lawyers, and personalities of Africa the first Pan-African currency, the Afro, and it was following a philosophical and artistic movement in Berlin of Mansour Sis. And now this Afro is on DigiFinex, so this is a very good achievement, a very nice step for us.
Thank you, that's such a great news. And we'd like to also have an overview on what kind of unique features and the strengths of Afro, because it's so exciting.
Yeah, so the Afro is not another token like we have so much now. It really has a cause. This cause is the Pan-Africanism, meaning that in Africa, Africa was struggling with 40 different currencies for 54 countries. And so they are struggling, they cannot even change from one local currency to another. They need to go through the dollar of the euro and pay huge expense of change. On 10 days of work, 3 days is only about paying the commission for changing the money when you want to make an exchange with another country. So therefore, we created the Afro, but the Afro is not, is very friendly. It's not disruptive for the governments and the central banks, on the contrary. And I will explain if you want me to explain this point.
Yeah, it would be great to understand more, because it's just really important that we work with the governments and everybody together. That's the collaboration we would like to see in the blockchain industry.
Yeah, so what is done in the Afro, we programmed a Tobin tax in the code. Tobin is an economist, an American economist, who made the demonstration. He showed that if we were using the commission of 0.01% on every financial transaction, then it would be enough money for the development of all the world. So you would not need to raise taxes on the people if there was a very, very tiny transaction on every financial transaction. Therefore, we did this option in the code of the Afro so that the African countries could raise a very, very, very tiny fee on each transaction, and 100% of the fee would go to the African countries. For this reason, central banks and governors of central banks and finance minister are friendly with us, because we are not coming like a threat. On the contrary, we are bringing a resource to public finance, and a resource for the first time in Africa, which is not from the ground or from the work of the people, but comes from, you know, a program. So most of the time we are welcome in these discussions with central bankers.
So as far as I know, Afro is the only currency who performed the full 100% compliance, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When we achieved the swap from the formal algorithm based on Dash to the Binance Smart Chain, which is the current Afro listed on DigiFinex, we did a full compliance of every holder, meaning not only the ID, but also the proof of address, so that as far as we know, we are the only token today who knows exactly all the holders. Also about the Afro, I wanted to tell something very specific. It's not only a currency, it's also a blockchain 3.0 application which is used, meaning that we have legal applications working on 4 countries already. The first one was Ivory Coast. So we're using the blockchain not only as a currency, but also like a register for proof, so that every registered letter, every intellectual property or property that you want to prove, an idea, music, video, whatever, you can put it in the blockchain of the Afro, and it will serve as a proof in front of the court of law. We signed already the contracts with 4 countries, and it's already live and implemented in Ivory Coast. So this is something that makes us a bit different.
Yeah, sure. Do you also want to explain further on the Afro Foundation? I think it is something that the audience would like to understand.
Yeah, you're totally right. Above all, the Afro Foundation is a philanthropic NGO, meaning that we are trying to help as much as we can in the African continent, but not only in Africa. Before the pandemic of the COVID, we already created 30 wells for potabilization of water, because the water poisoning is the main cause of disease or death in Africa today. And so the Afro was already used to get potable, drinkable water in Kenya and Ivory Coast. Also, during the pandemic, we created over 100,000 washable face masks, and we sent it in Sierra Leone, remote villages where they really had absolutely nothing. So we equipped the populations with the face mask at a time that it was forbidden in France, for instance, to wear masks. So we did that. Also, for the health application of the Afro, one of our members is using the blockchain to track the origin, the true origin of the medications, because the second cause of disease in the continent is fake medication, which are just copy of the genuine one. So these are the 4 things that we achieved for health. But Afro is also a currency for the entrepreneur. We have a perfect partnership with Talenteum. Talenteum is the LinkedIn or the Fiverr of all the specialists, very gifted programmers in Africa, and they are using the Afro as a remuneration between them. So this is also something interesting about the Afro.
That's great. I believe audience are also interested in the characteristics of Afro compared to your competitors, or who do you see, where are the competitors?
Yeah, so our difference is really about being a currency with a cause, Pan-Africanism. So we are aiming to be an alternative for all the 40 local currency of the African continent. And we want the Afro to become to Africa what the Euro is for Europe, but without being disruptive. We do it as, you know, an alternative, which is bringing resource to the country, bringing resource to the treasury of the countries working with us. So this is, I think, the upside of the Afro. We want it to be the Bitcoin of Africa. And this, I hope, would be the future of the Afro.
That's great. I think we really need to do more for the African countries. So having been through all these, what are some significant milestones which Afro has achieved? And also, what about the future roadmap if you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I can share a few with DigiFinex and with you, Kenna. So, well, as I told you already, on the road of the adoption, we already signed an agreement with Ivory Coast and 4 other countries for the use of our blockchain. Also, and this is important, we are not only helping for health application and currency or entrepreneurship, but also for education. So an NGO named E5T, which is specialized in teaching about ecology and the transition, ecological transition, made an agreement with us, and the Afro will be used for the courses. The blockchain will be used to give the courses, but also the assessments. And also each student will receive a saving account in Afro, so that when they reach the diploma, hopefully the price will raise a lot and we will have some kind of, you know, good savings in Afro, in the continent of Africa. What I can share with you today, also on the diplomatic side of the Afro, today our ambassador of the Afro was meeting with the president of Central Bank of Central Africa. You know that these countries declared that they allow the crypto, especially the Bitcoin, and they did a law, the parliament voted the law. So that we're in contact there, and we hope that the Afro would be also welcome and legal tender in Central Africa. Also, we have the president of Madeira. Madeira, as you know, is European Union. It's a part of Portugal. And the president of Madeira declared that crypto was legal in his country, and that he welcomes all the enterprise exchanges to come in Madeira. So we had a direct contact on Monday with the President Albuquerque, and he was explaining the Afro, and we will be most probably very welcome in Madeira. So this is what I can share for you on the diplomatic point of view. The last thing I would point out is that in the Portuguese-speaking countries of Africa, such as Angola, Cape Verde, Sao Tome, we have special connections, and we will provide payment systems based on the blockchain, because in those countries, you do not yet have reliable online payment systems.
You have so much on your plate. I can't imagine how can you do this. And we are all very looking forward to the future development of Afro for sure. So now let's get to, before we get into the Q&A section, because we've been getting responses from the audience, I do have a very personal question that we usually ask during the AMA section. So which is, do you mind sharing with us your personal investment experience, and especially in the crypto assets?
Yes, I will tell you a true story. I bought my first Bitcoins, I think, for $400. And I started to mine Ethereum, Zcash on mining rigs. It was first in Southeast Asia, then in Romania. And so I extended like that the mining and the arbitrage on cryptocurrency. But most importantly, my personal story, the Bitcoins and cryptocurrency saved the life of the family, because at that time I was a reporter for a media in a country where the government changed suddenly and the media was forbidden. You could not report the situation. And also, so they changed totally the situation so that for us to relocate all the family, cryptocurrency gave us the opportunity to move and to move the assets of the family safely to Europe. So basically, cryptocurrency saved the life of the family. Yeah.
Wow, so you're not just an early adapter, you've done a lot for the society. So we'll get to the Q&A section. Let me see what we have here. Okay. The first one, so for buying Afro and DigiFinex, what is the incentive for holding this token? And what's the roadmap and further development, particularly this year, 2022?
Okay. Holding the Afro, I think, is really interesting for you, because this year, I hope that we will announce the adoption not only for sovereign agreement like with the Postal Authority, but an agreement with the government as a legal tender. And I believe that this announcement that the Afro is a legal tender in a country of Africa will give a real upside and a real potential to the Afro. So the incentive is to buy it to very, very lower price possible today. And I believe that at the second that it is legal in the first country of Africa as a legal tender, then it would be really interesting for the holder, yes.
Thank you. Let's see what we have else. So since you're currently very into the African country, do you see the next explosive market? Where do you see next for particularly like the societal development?
Next explosive market, I think, could be Nigeria, Nigeria and Central Africa, also South Africa. This is the way I see it. But also you have these Portuguese-speaking countries of Africa, which were really in advance with cryptocurrency, because they have very good ties with Portugal, and Portugal declared the Bitcoin legal on its territory, and also declared that the Bitcoins and cryptocurrency cannot be taxed on its territory. So it serves as a possible example for these 250 million people speaking Portuguese in the world. Those countries, I believe, will be the first for adoption of cryptocurrency.
Sure. Actually, I personally have a follow-up questions based on that. How do you see that links to the SDG sustainability that we are talking about these days, particularly in the ESG idea?
Sorry, I don't get the question. Please, can you repeat that one?
Do you see Afro token being the pioneer for sustainability of the society and the world?
Yeah, I think that the Afro, we were asked already to create Afro as a digital currency for several governments, which would be a local Afro in a few countries of Africa, but I cannot disclose the name. And this local Afro will have a parity with the global Afro. And then, as we have the monetary snake in Europe, and every country was adopting its own currency with 10% of fluctuations. And then after, everyone went together to the euro with a certain parity. One of the economists of the Afro, Daniel Ouedraogo, made a definition of what should be the worth of each local Afro in each country, considering the growth, considering the population, and considering, then this is the way we will do it. So most probably, to answer your question, we will have a local Afro in a country, and the government will say what is the condition to change it to the global Afro. So each time we'll respect exactly what the government said. Let's take an example. If in one country they want to incentive a certain business or intellectual property or some of their resource, so they might allow for X% of the local Afro to be changed in the global one. So we'll, of course, will respect all these rules, and the people will be able to keep the local Afro and change it at certain targets.
Great, thank you. So now we have a lot. I'll try to pick some for you. The next one is there any statistics of how many people Afro Foundation has helped? And if I also want to help people through Afro, what should I do?
Okay, so I cannot give you statistics because I just don't know in which field you want the statistic, but please take contact with the foundation, and I will lead you to the country where you want to help. Meaning that if you want to help in the field of health, then I will direct you to the people in charge with that. If you want to help for in the field of potabilization of water, we have our engineer specialists with that. So yeah, anytime, just make contact, and we'll be happy to serve the holders. Yeah.
Sure, thank you for that. I think a lot of them might just reach out to you. We're happy to be the connection here. So I think that's pretty much what we have today. Maybe we can take one more questions if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Just a little bit complicated. So do you foresee there will be more societal adoption of tokens similar to Afro in other regions across the globe?
Okay, so I will answer to you because I had just a news this morning. This is, one of our co-founders today is in a country of Southeast Asia. This country of Southeast Asia has its local currency, of course, but it's not really used. And they deplore the Minister of Public Affairs of this country, that was with our co-founder, deplores that people are using the American dollar instead of the currency of the country. So that most probably there will be a digital currency in this country, and most probably it will be possible to change it into the country, into the currency of the region, the fiat currency of the regions. But they want to make this important path today, yes. So yes, in some countries of Southeast Asia, there will be most probably these kind of experiences.
Nice, this is actually encouraging news. So thank you for sharing everything with us, being so transparent, and I believe we learned a lot from the section. So thanks again for joining the section today. Now we will send out the second wrap packet before we round up the whole live section, which is Africa, AFRICA. And it marks the end of our AMA today. Thank you everyone for participating, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Kenna.
Stay safe.
You too. Thank you.